Boker Tov. Boker Tov Chodesh Tov. Today's Daf Mem Aleph from Baba Basra. We learn Parchein Kol Beis Yisrael and Sun Batzar B'Shivya. Says the Mishnah near the top of the page. Kol Chazaka Sheni Matanas. We've learned this many times before. Any presumptive title that is not accompanied by a plea, a claim, Sheni Matana, ain't a Chazaka. In other words, what do we mean by that? Case that he tells the example. Amalo. Reuben said to Shimon, what are you doing on my property, on my land, on my house? Who Amar? And Shimon said, Shalom Eliyanim, nobody said anything. I thought I could squat here. Nobody said anything. That's what I'm doing here. And therefore, I figured if I could stay here and I could have what's called squatter's a squatter's rights, right? A squatter's title, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know why they have rights, but that's what they call it. I thought I could stay here. Nobody else said anything, so I thought I'd stay here, even though I've been here 3 years. I've been here for 3 years. How can you have a complaint now? That's not a chazaka. Why? Because you have to say, fine, so you stole it. But how did you get it? Again, as we've explained, according to the predominant opinion, is that what's the reason for the 3 years? Not what Rabbi Yehuda said, because it takes you, it allows you time if you went to Spain until you heard about it, until you came back, and you got to tell them face to face. No, we've said macha she'eno b'fanav is a macha. Reason for the 3 years is that's in lieu, that's proof of purchase, in lieu of a shtar. In lieu of a bill of sale, that's your proof. But you have to have a claim that you bought it. If he says shemachartali, you sold it to me, shenasatli, you gave it to me, you gifted it to me, matana, or avicha machali, or your father sold it to me, avicha nasli matana. That's a claim. Alright, it's a chazaka. If you have 3 years, right? If you have 3 years, a chazaka we've been discussing about 3 years, that's proof of purchase, but you have to have a claim. Then the Mishnah ends off. This is an important point. Let's say you say, well, I inherited it from my father. Yes, but how did your father get it? You don't have to explain how your father got it. If you just say, you don't need it. That's your claim. Your plea is I got it from my father. Or let's say, okay, we said if you bought it, right? But he says it comes from Shum Yerusha. If he says what? That I bought it, that I received it as Yerusha, you don't need any claim. But we'll see, you don't need any claim, but you got to prove that your father was there. Do you need that, right? You have to prove that your father was on the karka. I got it from your father. You got it from your father. That's a good claim. Okay, how did your father get it? Do we know that your father got it? You don't have to show how your father. Maybe your father bought it 150 years ago, right? If you're old enough, right? If your father bought it a long time ago, but you have to be able to prove that your father was on the land. It's not some say, we don't know your father was, because we'll see, that's what the Gemara is going to discuss. Do you have to show that your father was on the land at least for a day? Shita, so the Gemara says it's obvious. Obviously, if a guy has no claim, he just says, I've been squatting here for 3 years, it's obvious that doesn't show anything. There's no such thing as squatter's rights. The truth is, maybe the guy really bought it. We're afraid, maybe the guy really bought it. Right? Mom would say, Mom might think the high government was higher. He actually bought this land. He had a star, and he lost it. The reason he just said, well, I've been here for 3 years, he didn't say, why didn't he just say I bought it? Because he lost the star. Suffer, he figured, if I say that I bought it from you, you sold it to me, they'll tell me, show your star. I was afraid to say, we're afraid that maybe he really did buy it, but he lost the star. So if he says, listen, I bought it from you, so say if you bought it from me, where's your bill of sale? So therefore, that's why he said, I've been here for 3 years. He's not really saying, I never bought it, I squatted. He's just saying, well, I've been here for 3 years. I've been squatting it for 3 years. So we're afraid. So isn't it obvious that's not a claim? No, I might think that he really did buy it and he lost the star, but he's embarrassed to say, I bought it from you, because they'll say, where's your star? That negates your claim. Negates your claim. To say you bought it, you don't have a star. It doesn't sound good. Yes, he doesn't know the halacha that 3 years. You think every guy who comes to shul knows the rule? 3 years is proof of purchase. He doesn't know those rules. He figures, where's your bill of sale? If you're not registered in the tabu today, it doesn't make any difference if you've been there for 10 years, right? You're not registered. You're not the registered owner. He doesn't know these rules. He's not a big Talmud Chacham. So so therefore, if he says I bought it from you, they'll tell me, you'll tell me, therefore, we want to help him. We want to help him. Maybe he really did buy it. So we'll tell him, listen, Therefore, we should maybe tell him, is it real? Maybe you did have a star. Maybe you did really buy it and you lost it. And this is like 3 years is like proof of purchase. We open your mouth to help the person who is dumb, who can't speak. Maybe that's what we should do over here. Kamashman, you don't have to do that. If all he said is, I've been here for 3 years and he didn't have any claim, that's it. You can take it away. You don't try to help him out and say, well, maybe you bought it and you lost the star. No, we don't have to do that. That's the chiddush of the Mishnah. Rav Hanan, now a story. Rav Hanan, shakal bitka ba'aret. Rav Hanan had some land and he had a fence on his property and a flood swept through his land, knocked down the fence. Now, he put it up the fence. He didn't know exactly where to put it up. So he put Ozol and he went, Hadar Guda ba'aret. And then what did he do? Ozol, Ahadar Guda. So he set up the fence again. See, the fence broke down. So he built a new fence there. But when he put up the fence was a little bit encroaching on his neighbor's property. He didn't know exactly where to put it up. So encroached a little bit. It went into the other guy's property. Also, Rav Nachman, they came before Rav Nachman with the Din Torah. Now you might say, what's his claim? He put it on the other guy's property. So Rav Nachman said, Zilhada, go remove your fence, move it back to the original property line. So Rav Hanan said, but I have a chazaka. It's been here for a long time. He hasn't said anything. Amalei, come on, Rav Yehuda, Rabbi Shmuel. Who are you going? What kind of a chazaka do you have? You haven't been here 3 years. You have a chazaka that you've been here for a while. Are you going like Rabbi Shmuel, the army called before of La'al to have a chazaka? In other words, you put up the fence and the other guy's home. He sees the fence. He didn't say anything. Well, we say you need 3 years. We need a chazaka of 3 years. Rabbi Yehuda and Shmuel says if he saw it right away, as long as he's there, right? If he's there right away, the reason for the 3 years is only in case the guy goes to chutzlaretz. That's why I said 3 years is a chazaka in case he goes to chutzlaretz, and you have to send a message to him, and he comes back or sends a message back. You have to allow for 3 years. But if he's there right away, if the guy sees it, if you're on somebody's property and you're squatting or you're doing anything, and he sees it and he doesn't say anything, that's a chazaka right away. Are you going like that because the other guy didn't say anything when you put up the fence? Are you going like him? Have a chazaka? Is that what you're saying? Rav Nachman said to Rav Hanan incredulously, come on, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shmuel, dam mikol b'fanav la'alta v'chazaka. Let's talk because of us. We don't pass them like that. We say you need 3 years. Amalei ba'achil, but he was mochel. He was mochel me. Why? The asa v'saya beguda abadoi. How do I know he was mochel? He helped me put up the fence. It wasn't like I just put up the fence and moved a few yards into his property. He helped me put up the fence. So obviously he was mochel that day. I got to start. You want me to take down the fence again? Amalei mechila betosa. It was a mistake. He didn't know where it was either. These were both rabbis. They weren't surveyors or experts in construction. And the fence fell down. He helped me put up the fence. So he put it inside his fence. Later on, somehow the other guy must have realized that he lost some of his property. So it was a mistake when he made it. Ad gufach yourself, had you known exactly where it was, had you known exactly where the line was, you're a rabbi. You wouldn't have encroached on his land. You would have put up the fence exactly where it was originally. Had you known, you wouldn't have done it either. He also made a mistake. Just like you didn't know, he also didn't know. In other words, the fact that you can't claim that he was mocha. Chazaka for sure you don't have. We don't like Rabbi Yehuda that just because the other guy didn't say anything right away, it's a chazaka. And he wasn't mocha either. You said he helped you, but he made a mistake, and you made a mistake. It was a mechila matos. Therefore, move your fence back. A similar story. Rav Kahana, remember it was Rav Kahana because we're going to come back to his name. Rav Kahana shakal bit kabar. Similar thing. A flood swept through his land and the fence fell down. Obviously, they didn't have real big fences, great fences. Again, same kind of a story. Rav Kahana rebuilt the fence on the neighbor's property. Also, it came for Rav Yehuda. This is Rav Yehuda, not the Tan of the Mishnah. Rav Yehuda. Also, I see Trey Sadi, and he brought 2 witnesses. Listen to this. Chad Amar, now the other person, the neighbor, brought 2 witnesses. The Rav Kahana thought that he built the fence properly. He thought he was doing right. But the neighbor brought 2 witnesses. Chad Amar, Tarti Yitzaisa oil, that he encroached, he built the fence through 2 rows. Let's say there were 2 rows of vegetables or crops, whatever, the 2 rows. In other words, he encroached a distance of 2 rows into the neighbor's property. So that's what one of the witnesses. He went in three rows. In other words, there's no question that he went in, that he encroached on the other guy's property. He's got to move his fence back, but how far back? They didn't know exactly where it was. So he brought 2 witnesses. One said that he encroached 2 rows. One said he encroached 3 rows. Amalei. So when he came before Rav Yehuda Paskin, Zil Shalom Tarte Migav plus, go pay him back, or either make up the fence or pay him for 2 out of the 3 rows. There's a dispute. Was it 2 rows? Was it 3 rows? At least you got to go back 2 rows because they both agree about the 2 rows. Now this gets into the question when you have 2 witnesses, and let's say there's a question that took place. We saw 2 witnesses come and say on Sunday. Well, I'll explain this in a minute. Let's say 2 witnesses say that Reuben lent Shimon $100 on Sunday. We were with him, he lent him $100. 2 other witnesses say he lent him $200. So what do you say in a case like that? No, nobody's motivated to anything. The 2 witnesses say $100, 200 say $200. So does he owe him at least $100? They both agree about $100, right? So here we get into this question. That's if you have 2 and 2. What happens if it's one set of witnesses? 2 witnesses come. One says $100, one says $200. Oh, so he says, what do you mean? I got to pay 2 out of 3? After all, one guy said 2, one guy said 3. They should maybe cancel each other out. They're not testing about the same thing. Amalei. So Rav Kana retorted to Rav Yehuda, you're posting that I should give him back 2 rows. Come on, Rav Shimon Elazar. Let's go to Shimon Elazar. The Tanya, Rav Shimon Elazar. Shimon Elazar like this. So Nechliko Beisham Beis Hillel, so Machlokes Beisham Beis Hillel, right? Whether they both agree on part of it, on the $100 or not. Al Shteiki to Edom. There's no machlokes about 2 sets of Edom. Sha'achas Omeres Mana. One group, one set of Edom say he lent him $100 on Sunday. We were there. The Achas Omeres, in other words, says no, we were there at Sunday at the same time. Otherwise, you can talk about 2 different instances, right? But we're talking about the same time. We were there. Achas Omeres Masayim, that 200 Sheish B'chal Masayim Mana. Everybody agrees over there. Beisham Beis Hillel both say, if on Sunday at 1 o'clock, and that's location, set number 1 of Edom say you lent them $100. Set number 2 said it was $200. Well, they both agree that it was at least $100 there. They're disagreeing about the second $100. About the second $100, one said, yeah, he lent them the second $100. One says he didn't. So that says Mucheshes, they cancel each other out. But about $100, they both agree. So everybody agrees over there. Sheish B'chlal Masayim Mana. In other words, within $200 is $100. So they both agree about the $100. Aman Nechli, what's the machlokas? Al-Kat Achad. If you have 1 set of Edom, there's only 2 witnesses over here. Al-Kat Achad. She'echad Omer Mar v'Echad Omer Masayim. One of the witnesses says 100, one says 200. Shebesham Yom Nechli Kidusin. You don't have 2 sets of, you don't have 2 witnesses about either one. One says 100, one says 200. Beis Hillel says no. Yesh B'chal Masayim Mana. Even if it's just 2 witnesses, one guy says it was 100, one guy says it was 200. Well, even the guy who says it's 200 admits that there was 100 there. So Beis Hillel says that. So are you saying you go like Beis Hillel over here also? It's a similar thing. One guy said 2 rows. One guy said he encroached 3 rows. Right? So they both agree about the 2 rows. Are you saying we go like Rav Shimon Elazar, who says that Beis Hillel says even over there where it's 1 set of Edom, one said there's only 2 Edom, one says 100, one says 200, that the 100 is, everybody agrees at the 100. And here also everybody agrees about the 2 rows. Amalei, is that what you're saying? That we go like Rav Shimon Elazar, who says that even in a case of 1/8, 1/8 says one and 1/8 says the other, they both agree on the 100. Here they both agree on the 2 rows. We go like that. Amalei, is that what you're saying? All right. Amalei, can I go? I brought a letter from Eretz Yisrael. The law is not like Rav Shimon Elazar, but rather that there's no witnesses there at all. If it's 2 witnesses who say 200, who say 100, and 2 witnesses say 200, then we understand everybody agrees about the 100. But over here, if I don't have 2 witnesses as I pay at the 2 rows, I have 1 witness on the 2 rows and 1 witness on the 3 rows. I don't have any Edis there at all. Amalei, so you answered l'chitesi. When you bring the letter, he says there's a letter. That Allah is not like Rav Shimon Elazar. He says, well, when you bring me the letter, I'll let you know. Only at that point. So if kind of such a view, in other words, that in this case where it's only 1/8 says 100, 1/8 says 200, they cancel each other out. And here too, one guy said 2 rows, one guy said 3 rows. They cancel each other out. and therefore you have no witnesses at all, and therefore you have no witnesses that I encroached at all, and I'm going to leave the fence where it is. But Rav Yehuda said, no, I don't agree with that. I agree with Rav Shimon Elazar that when one said 2 rows and one said 3 rows, everybody agrees about the 2 rows. So you have 2 witnesses that he encroached at least 2 rows. They agreed on that, and therefore you have to move back the 2 rows. And you have proof that we don't pass it that way? Bring me the proof, then we'll look at it there. A story. Pardon? Yeah. Well, he didn't trust him. That's he didn't trust him. He trusts him, but people make mistakes. People make mistakes. There's machlokas about it. There's a machlokas about it. So he said, I don't agree with that opinion. Show me what they said. Let me see who said it. Maybe there is such a letter. Who wrote such a letter? Was it Rabbi Yochanan's letter? Whose letter was it? Ahu Gavra. Story like this. Now, this case was referred to before in Rashbam several times. Ahu Gavra is a story. The Dar Bekishta, that was the name of the place. He lived in that place, Kashta Bilisa, on an upper story, in a city called Kashta or Kishta. This guy occupied let's say a second story for Arbashani for 4 years. He was there 4 years. Also, Maridabesa, the owner of the house, who owned the apartment building, came. Ashkei, and he found him. Amalei, my boss, what are you doing in this house? Amalei, mi planya zavinta. I bought it from Yankel, who bought it from you. Right? Reuben says to Shimon, what are you doing in my upstairs here? And you're there for 4 years, I know. But where did you, what are you doing here? You squatting? He says, no, I bought it from Yankel, who bought it from you. Also, that came before Rechia. Amalei, Iyas Lachsadi, the Darba, Iu, Zav, the Zavasmine, Afilu Chad Yoma. You have to have proof. In other words, what's a claim? I bought it from you. I inherited it from my father. I bought it from your father. You gifted it to me. Those are all claims. Here he says, I bought it from Yankel. Yankel's not here. Who bought it from you? How do we know that Yankel bought it from you? We don't know that Yankel bought it. We don't even know where Yankel is. But do you have at least? So Rav Chia said, if you at least proof that Yankel was there for a day, that's okay. Why? Says Rashbam, why? Because we have a claim to Ton el Yorish Beton Lokech. We ourselves plea for a Yorish. And as we said in the Mishnah, that if you say, what are you doing on this land? He says, well, I inherited it. You inherited from your father? How did he get it? That I don't know. I know I got it from my father. I'm not believed to go back, so to speak, 2 generations, how he got it. Here too, I bought it from Yankel. I'm supposed to know how he bought it from you. I'm supposed to have Yankel's bill of sale. I don't have that. So we make a claim and we say that's okay. We say, okay, but at least prove, Rav Chia said, that Yankel was on the land for a day. We're not asking you to prove how Yankel got it, right? We can't ask you to not go that far. That's too much. We claim ourselves. We make a plea for the Yoresh. We don't tell the heir, how did your father get it? But you got to prove that your father was there for a day. You got to prove you bought it from Yankel. You got to prove that Yankel was there for a day. That's what Rav Chia told him. If you have proof that the guy that you bought it from was there for a day, I'll let you keep it. You're right. That's a claim. This guy was there for 4 years. His claim is not that he bought it from the owner of the building. His claim is that he bought it from Yankel, who bought it from him. How do you know that Yankel bought it from him? We don't expect him to know how Yankel bought it from him. Maybe Yankel was gifted it by him. Maybe he gave it to him. We don't know. But you have proof at least that Yankel was there for a day, then I'll give it to you. Elo, if you don't even have proof that Yankel was there for a day, maybe you're just making up a story. How do you Yankel? Where's Yankel? No, he was there. He was there 4 years. No, he doesn't. He's there 4 years. He has a chazaka. He doesn't have a shtar that he bought it from Yankel. He's there 4 years. If he has 3 years, he has a chazaka. 3 years is proof of purchase if you have a claim. Here his claim is, I bought it from Yankel. Right? So he doesn't have a shtar. He doesn't have a shtar. The question is, where's Yankel's shtar? Well, he's not mechuyev to look for Yankel's shtar, but he's at least can prove that Yankel was there for a day. If you can't prove that, you don't have anything. Amar Rav. Now Rav was a nephew of Rav Chia. His nephew Rav Chia was a double nephew, really, because Rav Chia's half brother married Rav Chia's half sister, who were unrelated to one another. One was from the father, one was from the mother. So they married a half sister. I told you that you could do that, right? He's not related at all. A half brother of Chia married Rav Chia's half sister. They didn't have the same parents at all, right? They didn't have the same parents, and they married one another. I told you the story once that when I was in yeshiva, there was a family who there was a guy in the yeshiva who came from a family of 7 adopted children. They were all adopted independently, and he married a sister. They weren't related at all halachically. They were just, step brother and sister. In any case, so here is no problem. Anyway, so Rav was really a nephew of Rav Chia, right, from both sides. And Rav said, and when he heard Rav Chia say, well, you have to have proof at least that Yankel, who you bought from, was there for a day. I was sitting in front of my uncle, and I said to him, why do you have to have proof that Yankel was there for a day? He had to be there for a day. Maybe Yankel bought it and sold it the same day. I'm like, can't a person buy something and sell it? What do they call it now? Flipping it. All these big shots in real estate, we're flipping it, right? He bought it and he flipped it right away. He had the lawyer sitting right there, right? That's what Rav complained to Rav Chia. And I saw from Rav Chia, I knew my uncle pretty well, and I saw from his face, I understood him. He had the occupier, had Shimon, the occupier, was there for 4 years. Had he said, I bought it from Yankel, and I saw him buy it from you. I bought it from you. I've been doing it 4 years. My claim is, I bought it from Yankel, and I saw him buy it from you. I was there. Had he said that, he would have been believed. He could have said, had Shimon said to Reuben, what are you doing? Hey, Reuben says, what are you doing here for 4 years? And he has proof that he was there for 4 years. What are you doing here? I've been here for 4 years. Okay, there's people who saw him living there for 4 years. Had Shimon said, what am I doing here? I bought it from you 4 years ago. Where's my star? I don't have to have a star after 4 years. I've been there after 3 years. I lost the star. I don't keep it anymore. Right? Had he said that, he would have certainly been believed. So Rav understood from Rav Chia that had Shimon not just claimed, I bought it from Yankel, who supposedly bought it from you, but I bought it from Yankel, who I saw him buy it from you. I was there. That would have been a good enough claim, even though he didn't have a day of occupancy. He didn't see Yankel living there. But I bought it from Yankel, and I saw Yankel buy it from you. Then he would have been believed because he has a miga. He could have said, I bought it from you directly. I didn't have to say I bought it from Yankel, who bought it from you. I could, if I wanted to lie, I could have said I bought it from Yankel. I bought it directly from you. So if he says, I bought it from Yankel, who I saw him buy it from you, I was there, I was a witness to that, he certainly would have been believed. Okay, but, right? So, okay, but Rav Chia maintained his, and that's the Rashbam says, we paskin like Rav Chia, that, yes, it's a claim, it's a good claim, I bought it from Yankel, who supposedly bought it from you, as long as he can show, he has proof that Yankel was there for a day, that Yankel occupied a day. Rava. So Rabbi says, Rav Chia Mustafa. It's likely that Talach is like Rav Chia, not like Rav wanted to say. Rav wanted to say, why do you have to be there at even all for a day? Let him just say, I bought it from Yankel, who supposedly bought it from you. I don't have to show that he was there for a day. That's what Rav wanted to maintain. Rav Chia said, no, you have to be there at least for a day. You have to show proof. Rav Chia, why Diktani? What did our Mishnah say? The last line of the Mishnah we learned today. If a person says, I bought it, what are you doing on the land? The guy says, I inherited from my father. Right? You don't need it. You don't need to claim. I don't have to claim how my father got it. I'm the son of my father. I inherited it from him. You don't need to claim at all. Kain Hudala boy, he doesn't need to claim Haraya boy, but you got to prove that he says the Mishnah says you don't need to claim. You don't have to show how your father got it. Your father bought it, your father inherited it. You don't have to show how he got it. You're not mechuyev to know that. You don't have to claim, but you don't have to claim, you just say I inherited it from him. But Kain Hudala boy, Haraya boy, but you need to prove that it was his father's. Says, I inherited from my father. Do you have any proof that your father was there for a day? You have to show that your father was on the land. I bought it from I don't have to show how my father got it. How did this land come into your possession? I inherited it. Now we claim, as we said, Rashbam said before, we claim, yeah, we understand. You don't have to have proof how your father got it, but you have to show at least that your father was there for a day. Haraya boy. Says the Gemara, that's not such a proof. Maybe it means you don't have to have a claim, you don't have to have proof at all. I inherited it, that's all. Don't ask me any questions. I have to show I'm supposed to have proof that my father was there for a day. Maybe I inherited it 20 years ago and he's gone and there's nobody to be proved. Or you boy say, I can tell you, even if you say, you know what, that even if you say that by a Yoresh, you have to at least prove that your father was there for a day, like you say. You don't have to have a claim. You don't have to show how your father got it, but you have to show that he was there for a day. But when you bought it from Yankel, in other words, I don't have to show maybe that that I don't have to have proof that Yankel was there for a day, but why would I have bought it from Yankel if I didn't know that he bought it, right? The first thing a lawyer does today when you buy something is to prove that the guy you're buying it from really owns it, that he has title to it. So it's one thing about a Yoresh, whatever you inherit, you inherit. So maybe there, you could argue, you don't have to have a claim how your father got it, but you have to prove that he was there for a day. But a lokeach, a purchaser, has a stronger claim. I bought it from Yankel, who bought it from you. How do you know Yankel bought it from you? Was he there for a day? I don't know, but I probably would have checked it out. I probably would have made sure that Yankel bought it. That's a good place. So if he says, what are you doing on my land? He's not saying I squatted. I bought it from Yankel. He claimed he bought it from you, and I was pretty sure he bought it from you. Right? That's what he goes saying. A person's not going to put his money down for nothing. He's going to be pretty sure. So therefore, again, this idea that we argue for the lokeach, I don't have to prove how Yankel bought it from you. I didn't have to see that he bought it from you. I didn't have to have proof that he bought it from you. But according to Chia, you have to be there. You have to at least show that he was there for a day. Maybe not. Maybe not so much. Maybe he didn't. In the case of Chia, he paskin, you have to show he's there for a day. But you can show. Rav's argument is no. Even if he wasn't there for a day, that should also be we make a claim on behalf of the lokech. Now, if we paskin like Rav Chia, says Rashbam about halfway down in the wide lines, he says, because we hold like Rav Chia, that what you have to be there at least for a day. What does it mean you have to occupy at least for a day? Again, you claim that you bought it from Yankel. You weren't there. You didn't say you were there at the time that he bought it, that Yankel bought it. But you claim that Yankel said he bought it from you. Do you have at least proof that Yankel was living there for a day? Something like that. That proof you have to have. That's what Rav Chia said. What happens if you don't have proof that he lived there for a day, but you saw him on the land? Somebody saw the guy walking on the land. Maybe he was measuring it or something like that. Is that good enough proof that he was on the land? Abai says, yeah, that's good enough. Just to show that the guy you bought it from had been on the land, that's good enough. Rav Amar, no. Avidinish, the Siar blows up. It's very possible. We call them kickers, people who look, cookers, people who just look. Maybe he was just surveying the land and he didn't buy it. The fact that Yankel was on the land, maybe Yankel, he came upon this guy, hey, you want to buy this land? And these guys standing there, figured he's the owner. He doesn't really own it. So that doesn't prove anything. If he occupied the land for a day, that's proof. So therefore, this is Avidinish to see Ari below Zavid. People sometimes survey things and they don't buy it. So Avidinish, we had that tomorrow before. Avidinish, the Kane that he acquires the judgment. And I remember he said that a person will buy his judgment, meaning even though he owns it technically, but rather than fight for it in court, rather just buy it himself. Just pay for it, right. To avoid going to court, he'll pay for it, even though he really owns it himself. So you have that idea that people do that on occasion. Now the next Gemara says like this. We'll just see the beginning of the next piece. Let's say Reuben sold the field to Shimon. Right now, Shimon normally he has a star. Doesn't keep it after 3 years. Doesn't have to keep it. He was only there 1 year. Shimon sold it to Levi. So Shimon was there 1 year. Then he sold it to Levi, who was there for 1 year. And then Levi sold it to Yehuda and he was there for a year. And Reuben didn't say anything till after 3 years. Now, he comes and he claims, what are you doing on the land? He says to Yehuda, what are you doing on the land? So you know what? The three can all be mitzdaref, right? Amrabakum b'shtar. If they all b'shtar, meaning they all b'shtar. Not Shimon. If Shimon obviously has a shtar, then there's something to talk about. Hey, he bought it. What are you doing on my land? Shimon has a shtar. Shimon doesn't have the shtar. But he was only there 1 year. He sold it to Yehuda, to Levi, and Levi has a shtar. And Yehuda has a shtar that he bought it from Levi. So all three together constitute one chazaka. And at least, Levi and Yehuda can prove that they bought it from the previous one. Levi bought it from Shimon, and Yehuda bought it from Levi. But Shimon doesn't have a document. So Reuben's argument is, I never sold it to Shimon. I don't care if you paid him for it. I never sold it to him. So in that case, what do you say? So the Gemara says, they are mitzvah. Right. So the Gemara now is going to go into, okay, only with a star and not with Adam, just with a star, not with Adam. Pardon? Right. But if Shimon had a star, there's no discussion. But Shimon didn't have a star, right? The question is that it has to be but Levi and Yehuda have a star. That's when Kum star means Levi and Yehuda have a star. Only a star and not witnesses. Only a star. Gemara says, "Well, name of the Savarab star Islay call a star." People would have heard about, and therefore there was a call, and the guy and the guy would have said something. If it was sold with a star, then Reuben could have heard something. You see, if it was only sold with the other one sold to Edom, Reuben's claim is, what's Reuben's claim? Why didn't you make him a chad till now? Because nobody was there for 3 years. I saw this guy there for a year, this guy was there for a year, this guy was there for. I thought the reason they didn't stay there for 3 years is because they don't have a real good claim. They know I'm going to take it away. I didn't know about it, right? But if they have a star, if there was a star that Levi bought it from Shimon and Yehuda bought it from Levi, then Reuben would have heard about it. Okay, what about if it's only a star not with Edom? It was only down to Edom not? That's apparently what he's saying. Rav says if they had a star, then it's good chazaka. If Levi and Yehuda only had Edom that they bought it, that would not have raised a rumor, a call would have not gone out that Reuben would have heard about. He didn't hear about it. And therefore, that's what I was going to discuss. Is there a difference between star and Edom? We'll pick this up tomorrow. Chodesh Tov. Happy birthday, Mickey. Chodesh Tov l'kulam. Pardon?
Thank you.
Right. But the Edom aren't here. The Edom aren't here. If you have the Edom and the star, if the Edom aren't, you just have the star now without the Edom guy. The Edom signed on the star, but they're not here right now.